Welcome one and all to another amazing night here in Tranquility.
We absolutely are in for a treat of a match here tonight, no question about it.
And the grenades from Pomku eliminate everybody on the field.
Now I'm between something as well is going to be applied as a death blossom, and it's going to be huge. Fighting three.
The double kill with the Bastion ulti? Alright, I see you guys.
For B-Well, look to find a stick there, finds the stick, they find two with it!
Those who find the picks will save the fight, and they don't really need to save what they've already won.
And Cam puts a four-man punch off the map!
Experience tranquility.
Welcome everybody to Tranquility Gaming Season 12, the first opening week here of the new season of Tranquility. My name is Bowsy and I'm joined here by Aqua on the cast as it's time to start our 16-week journey to determine 4 champions across 4 different tiers, starting with the Harmony tier, where the new kids on the block with Swarm are facing off against the reigning champions.
That is correct. We are back with Kingpins being the first team to be casted tonight, along with the Shrimpletons and what other team on the B stream?
It is. I'm trying to figure it out as we're talking
Marmarus
about it. Right.
Caritibus.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm definitely not pronouncing that right. I apologize in advance.
Marmarus Charybdis is the other team, but here on the main stream, nonetheless, is Kingpins versus the Swarm. The B stream will have that other match here, Aqua, but it's exciting. It's the first match of the season. It's going to be one heck of a one to watch.
It absolutely is, especially since the Kingpins, for those unfamiliar with what happened in Season 11, are currently the reigning champions, as I think you previously mentioned. So seeing them come into this first match, especially while it's being casted live for the first week of the new season, it'll be a very interesting first presentation of the new roster and how they will be playing the game overall, especially in the current meta, which is one of the metas of all time. It is, out of every single one since Overwatch 2, it has certainly been one of them.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get to that meta in a second, but back to that point about the team Kingpins coming in with a very different roster. There are some returning members from that championship roster, including Wheezy and Vex, but everybody else on the team is brand new to the team, so they're looking to try and prove themselves championship quality and try to put themselves in the illustrious list of teams that have won multiple championships in the Harmony tier. Currently, there are only 2 teams that hold that spot, the Flashbacks and the Koala Kings, both of which are no longer in Tranquility, so the Kingpins are trying to etch themselves into history as one of those very few teams that have been able to accomplish that feat here. Meanwhile, their opposition, new to Tranquility, players that have not been in this tournament before, they're going to be getting their first dose of Tranquility. It might be the hardest dose they have to do here, but that means they have a lot to prove. And if they're able to step out of the gate with a winning team, then they're going to be seen as a scary team throughout the entirety of the season.
Right, depending on even if they lose, if it's a close match the entire way through, that is still a very good showing for them initially. And anything except a 3-0 for Kingpins would be mildly concerning at least. Coming into this new season. So it really is just how the presentation of both teams is going to be here, deciding how their perception going throughout the rest of the season will be. This first week is all just about the quote-unquote first impression. So it's interesting to see how each team will be putting themselves on the map.
First impressions mean a lot, especially in the first week. You can have a lot of biases based on that first week of play. There can be some instant overreactions that people will have with the first sort of seeing that we see of these 2 teams here, and it could shape the rest of the season or people's perception of them for the rest of the season. So if you're the Swarm, you want to try to make an impact. Kingpins, you want to show that you are still that dominant force that you left Season 11 with here. But of course, it has been a few months since we last played Overwatch Overwatch 2, there's been a brand new competitive system, which has reset everybody's ranks, meaning there's a lot of people that have gone up and down in the ranking system, but there's also been a lot of new metas. Please don't talk to me about that, about going mostly down. I do not want to talk about my tank SR. But there's also been the brand new metas, Aqua. There have been new heroes introduced as well, and you mentioned it, the meta. The meta has changed a lot, and right now there is a very buff Hawaiian man at the top of the rank.
Samoan. He is Samoan, let us be very clear.
Pacific Islander man. I'm close in my sort of idea by there, but nonetheless, a very buff Samoan man at the top with a line that says, "It's never boring around me," despite the fact that this meta is one that is very controversial for being boring.
I would say it's not necessarily boring, as it is just overstimulating. As such, it just kind of like causes your brain to just a restart, essentially. Like the Windows blue screen is, I think, the best way to describe how it feels to play Mauga, personally. But yeah, it's just kind of a mess. Generally, you have the Moira Kiri with a Lucio, Mauga, Symmetra, and like a Sojourn Mayor. I'm not entirely sure what the Flex hits gameplay is, but Symmetra. So if you've seen that one image on Twitter, that is like basically just the double shield from Overwatch 1, but like Overwatch 2 edition, it's that.
Yeah.
We're back in Overwatch 1.
We're back to the visual clutter we tried to avoid in Overwatch 1. We try to run, but we stay the same either way. Nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see if we see this Mauga meta present here, because of course the Harmony tier is the lower of the 4 tiers here in Tranquility. We have of course the Ascended tier, which is the uncapped tier. Those are the best of the best players. Then you have the Transcendence tier. That's your Master tier players. Then you have the Discord tier. That's all your Diamond players. Then you have this tier, the Harmony tier, which is mostly comprised of Plat and Gold level average players. So who knows, these players may not be as comfortable with running a composition that is so heavily focused on mechanical skill like a Mauga composition. They may want to run something that's more akin to their style. Maybe they don't know how to play Sojourn or Lucio or Moira, which it'd be very hard to say that you don't know how to, regardless of which, it is still possible. Trust me, I was a Junkrat one-trick on DPS back when I first played Overwatch. I never played Soldier 76. Regardless of which, there is still the potential that they may not want to play these heroes. They may want to go for more comfort picks, so it'll be interesting to see if either of these teams opt into that Mauga meta and if they really want to go for it.
Okay, to be fair about the Junkrat one-trick allegations, I used to be a Mercy one-trick.
Okay, so did I as well, so.
Yeah, so, like, I can't judge. I cannot judge. I was a part of the Mercy Mafia. But yeah, I would say not, like, generally, I really enjoy watching Harmony tier games, because usually they're some of the most interesting outside of the one match I casted with Ashen, where I think it was Chicago Deep Dish versus Ace of Spades. And they both decided to just roll out on Roadhog on like the final map, which greatest match I've ever casted. That's one specific map. But yeah, it's just like, as you said, not everybody's comfortable with running this hard meta idea usually. So it's just like, there's a lot more that people will be willing to run, especially in lower tiers, because there's a lot more you can get away with. So it's just really interesting to watch how each team decides to create their own identity.
Exactly. Once upon a time, there used to be players that were Junkrat one-tricks in Harmony tier, making a name for themselves and being able to get those huge Riptires to turn the tide. They were also Pharah one-tricks, Genji one-tricks. There are so many players that are not at the top of the ladder or prefer to play in lower tiers with lower sort of levels here. So it's going to be interesting to see what these two teams are going to roll out on. There still is the potential that we could see that Mauga meta, but we also could see other heroes that typically are not meta at the top, because these lower skilled players may be willing to pull out something that they're more comfortable with, or something that they feel like is working in their dominant field. So it's definitely going to be We could also see the Wrecking Ball. We could see shades of the first Season 9 meta here if these teams are willing to be gutsy about it here. So it'll be interesting to see. But as for the delay, we have been waiting. Some of the teams have had some issues getting into the lobby and all that such. So we're getting those all sorted right now. But we should hopefully be jumping in to the series here very soon, Aqua. And of course, with in Tranquility tradition, the first map of the series is always preset. And when we get into our first map, it will be Busan. So a map that tends for a lot of different styles is Busan, and we'll have to see what compositions these teams are going to try to pull out at the end of the day.
Yeah, the thing with Busan is each map generally favors a different playstyle. Mecha base is very brawl heavy. Downtown. What's the? I don't think it's called downtown.
I believe it is called downtown. Busan downtown.
Never mind. I'm just losing my mind. I think that I'm pretty sure it favors a lot more dive compositions, but you can still definitely get away with the brawl comp. And then it's not Sanctuary. It's not Temple.
It is Sanctuary.
It is Sanctuary. I thought it was Nepal Sanctuary and it was called something else.
Nepal Sanctum, Nepal Shrine, Busan Sanctuary.
I hate it here. No, so Busan Sanctuary it can favor dive somewhat, it can favor brawl somewhat, but I think generally the best is usually poke, but people don't usually run that. So, we're looking at the maps now. Yeah, Busan. So it's just kind of Busan's a very flexible map just in general, especially with its sub maps, but definitely on mecha base specifically. Give me strength, give me fire, give me brawl, or I retire. But yeah, it's just you can do a lot with Busan, so it'll be interesting to watch what all the teams decide to roll out on here.
Absolutely, as we're entering into the first map of the series with Busan. After that, it's going to be Hybrid, Flashpoint, Escort, and Control. Those last two maps are only if necessary, as it is a first to three. So if it's a 3-0 sweep for either of these teams, then we're ending on Flashpoint. But we're loading into the series here, starting off on Busan downtown here. And already we do see that both of the teams are opting to try and go into this Malga composition, but that definitely could change here, Aqua, as 5 seconds away from the doors opening and beginning the Tranquility season, the 12th season of Tranquility. The season begins now.
Yeah, we see the main difference between the compositions is going to be the Sojourn versus Sombra looking to maybe deny the backline and maybe even the Malga with a boat. However, as we're going to be starting off here, it's going to be looking like Kingpins going to be taking a little bit more poke, but in turn being able to just get a solid control over the point initially with GCG getting ready to set up on the Soja. As I say that, okay.
Beautiful pick there from GCG, finding out that the Sojourn was hit by the chain guns and they were burning at the crest. Zachary K also getting rid of Aroma here in the meanwhile. Kingpins now have established themselves on this objective, and the Swarm are forced to go reconcile for another day.
Yeah, as we see that happen, we're going to look at the ultimates real quick, as Cool Puppet is a little bit ahead of Deskius? I'm so sorry to everybody whose name I can't pronounce. Going into this next fight, generally I think that this next fight's going to rely on who's going to have full lessons first and who's going to be able to use Eli to the best here. So it's just we're going to have to wait just a little bit longer to see what happens.
Swarm currently looking for the engage. They start off with that cardiac overdrive, but Cool Puppet answers back with the coalescence, and Vengeance is immediately burned down to a crisp by Vex. And now with Golden down the picture, it's another reset here for the Swarm, and Kingpins establishing their royalty.
Right, and looking going into this next fight, likely the Swarm is going to want to use coalescence with their cage, as they are ahead currently from Kingpins going into this next fight with Bolts. However, the Gargoyle's going to have to force everything up.
Oh, but Vex cancels out the coalescence with that Death Blossom, and Desiccus brought down to the grave. They are traded for it, however, but the fight win is still in the favor of Kingpins, halfway to capturing this first point.
Oh wait, they also used coal there. I didn't even notice.
The Blossom canceled the coal.
That is really unfortunate. They are going to have to use probably, I want to say either Blossom or Overclock going into this, but they need to do a combo with their ult going to this. However, watch out for an EMP going to this next fight as well.
Now the meeting on the side by the train station. Both cage fights used in tandem here by Benjamin and Zachary. Both looking for the final goes. And Wisey did nothing. Did not get the beat up in time. Wisey did Ajax. And Aroma finding 4 with the Death Blossom. Cleans it up for the Swarm.
That is tragic if you were a Kingpins fan right there. Oh no. They only have EMP while the Swarm has 2 more ults, but they do have more point caps, so if they're just able to win this one fight, they'll probably be able to win this stun map. Looks like GCG is going to be setting up for EMP here as well.
This ends
Be on this
now.
EMP from GCG. Golden also needs to try and avoid it here on the Lucio, but GCG is immediately looking for that Lucio, knowing it's the crucial target. But Vex now able to get rid of Aroma in the neutral fight, as now Kingpins have that advantage in the DPS category. Golden's also taken out of the picture, but it's traded for Wisey here. Desicus now trying to keep themselves alive on the Moira, while the rest of their team is falling around them. And the Kingpins make swift work of the Swarm again and take that objective back, thrusting into the last fight territory.
Yeah, great call by Cool Puppet after getting the initial pick onto Aroma. Going into this final fight, the Storm have to figure out a way to touch, which looks like Golden's probably maybe get there.
No,
That is
not
unfortunate.
time. The boop from Wisey did nothing after getting that Ajax, able to redeem themselves by getting the boop onto the Lucio and keeping them off the objective. And the Kingpins are going to take the first map in this series here. But now as we head over to our next point here on Busan, it's going to be interesting to see what these two teams opt for here. Uncertain if it's the Sanctuary or the Mecha Base. Judging by the fact I don't see outlines over at the Mecha Base, I assume it's going to be the Sanctuary. That's exactly what it's going to be.
It's the one that I can't name. Let's go. It does look like the Storm is going to be looking to perfect mirror Kingpins going into this next fight, swapping from the Soj to the Sombra. I think generally they just need to be able to farm Coalescence a little just on par or faster than Kingpins so far have been. As it's a really good ultimate going into like initial fights.
As the Swarm and Kingpins meet up in this central engage, both Sombras looking for those crucial hacks. Aroma and Wisey are the first ones hacking. Kingpins are down their speed boost, but Exo is killed out in the meanwhile by Cool Puppet, and that's the go button for Kingpins. They start pushing forward into the side of a Swarm and eliminating every single target in their way to sheer domination in the fight.
Yeah, Kingpins really good job right now just finding those initial picks going into each fight. They are already really close to Blossom, surprisingly enough. So they'll probably be looking to use that going into this next fight as an initiator. Oh.
Exo panicking a little bit, knowing that the enemy Sombra is within their sights. GCG and Cool Puppet trying to take the flank angle and distract the members of the Swarm, but that's exactly what Kingpins want, and now they're able to pick out Aroma as a result here because the Swarm are just separated.
Yeah, not really good with this comp to just like separate. You want to be stacked as 5 generally, except for maybe the Sombra just doing shenanigans, but it does look like Coalescence can be used here by Dice going into this next fight to just hopefully find something.
Yeah, but already Aroma once again is burned out of the field. Vex is using the Death Blossom in the middle of nowhere. It's able to somehow find Exo, however, and help clean up the field for the Kingpins to continue this hold on the objective.
Yeah, the Swarm really just needs to like really commit when they used Coalescence there. Coalescence's value really comes from being used while there's a fight going on, not as. So it can be used as a very good initiator, but it generally also needs to be used while there's a fight going on. Cage is coming out.
Cage fights used by both teams. Zachary, however, is dead after their cage fight is initiated. Wisey, however, does use that beat, and the Coalescence from Cool Puppet finds 2 in this fight. Make that 3 for the Moira of Cool Puppet, cleaning up the field, finding the 4th onto Golden with the help of Vex. It is another team wipe for the side of Kingpins, 76% on the board.
Lovely teabag is there. Okay. What's up? The Swarm really has a very large ult advantage, but they really should not be looking to stack these, but it is also possible to fight. EMP immediately coming out, both of them actually.
Exos, however, is bigger and landed on the 3 members. Once again, Cool Puppet finding 2 in this fight with that skill orb. Exo will be the last one to touch, but they're not one for the world, as it is a 99-0 here on the Sanctuary as the Kingpins clean up Busan.
Very strong showing immediately from Kingpins, knowing how to play the Mauga comp very well here initially. Especially Cool Puppet. I want to give a shout out to Cool Puppet like right now, just farming Coalescence. Coalescence OP. Also, beautiful Blossom though. Love the Blossoms as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely those coalescences have been the difference makers so far for the side of the Kingpins. Being able to initiate with those coalescences, find the healing, find the damage necessary. Cool Puppet has been the difference maker thus far on this team. I believe, from what I saw, they are a new recruit to this Kingpins roster starting in this season. So definitely making an impact very early on here in the season with that Moira play. That being said, though, Aqua, it was not all clean. There were some moments where the Swarm did have some opportunities to take advantage. Obviously, they won that fight on downtown and were able to take the point even just for a little bit. But if the Swarm start cleaning some stuff up, they have the opportunity to try and take a map here off the Kingpins. And hopefully it's going to start by choosing the next map in our series, which is our hybrid map. And they get the choice between Eichenwald, Kings Row, and Parejo. But let me go back to that point about trying to fix this up. The Swarm, obviously being showing some promise amidst the dark light.
Right. What we've seen here, as you mentioned, was when the Swarm decide to be the ones that take initiative and really be proactive with their abilities and ultimates, they are able to win those fights, especially when they catch Kingpins off guard. They really just need to clean that up and just don't let Kingpin set the tempo. This entire meta, I want to say, is just about tempoing everything. Overwatch has kind of had a habit of some of the metas just kind of falling into this weird MMO style of just ability madness, I want to say. So like, just this is another one of those metas. So it's just setting the tempo on your own standards and not following the beat of the drum of the Kingpins so far.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Kingpins are going to be able to do here, what the Swarm is going to be able to do here to try and best the Kingpins. Because again, in the Shroud of Darkness, there was that little bit of light. Again, the play of the game went to a member on the Swarm. So that should tell you a little bit about how the Swarm are not going to be backing down out of this fight here. So we'll see if they're able to keep up that momentum here. We do, however, have word of that map here, Aqua. It didn't matter what the hybrid map choices were going to be. Kings Row is the map choice here for the Swarm. So it shows that they probably want to stick with this brawl style. They probably are more comfortable on this Mauga composition. But is there the potential that we see something else here from the Swarm?
I mean, we have seen at higher tiers of play on Kings Row that some teams sometimes are willing to play Winston Dive. I doubt we'll be seeing something like that. But you just never know with Kings Row. It is generally favored to be a brawl map. However, you can just do a lot with it. It's obviously a very well balanced map for like any style that you want to run. It has your long sight lines, it has your high grounds, it has your corner to corners. So it's just generally, yes, it favors brawl, but we can see a lot of different things here. But we're gonna see Mauga. I bet $5.
Well, you know what? You're going to be donating. Let's see if we're going to be donating $5 to charity over at the Tranquility Gaming Event Week, which is in 5 weeks. I know I'm looking way ahead of the time, but nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see if that Mauga is pulled out here from both teams. So we'll have to see what the sort of situation is going to be here from both of these teams and how they're going to be trying to run this Mauga composition. The interesting thing is we saw both of the teams run different compositions on downtown. At least to my knowledge, they were running somewhat different compositions, it seemed like. I think they might have been running the same thing with the Somber Reaper. But do we see some variations of this composition? Do we see a Symmetra? Do we see a Sojourn? Do we see anything of that like that could try to throw off the other team?
We did see on downtown, we did see a Sojourn versus Sombra comparison. Generally, what you wanted, the general difference is Sombra has a lot more backline disruption, while Sojourn has the ability to just one shot at will almost. Given you do have to charge it, but with a giant Samoan man, it's kind of easy to charge it up. So it's a give and take. but you do also see the Symmetra on some higher tiers of play. We have seen it in Overwatch Champions. If you do keep up with that, I somewhat don't. I should though.
I have kept up with Champions, so don't worry.
Thank you. Very much appreciate. There are different styles of Mauga Rush, but generally what we have been seeing is right now definitely a Reaper, definitely something else, but it's always at least a Mauga, because Mauga OP Blizzard, please nerf, please.
We can only hope and pray right now if we are the players of Overwatch 2, hoping for some sort of changes in the meta here as we load into King's Row, the land.
I was right.
There you go. There's your Maugas on both sides. Kingpins will be on the defense. The Swarm will be on the attack. And right now, the Kingpins with that defense are showing that Mauga composition. And it's once again these mirror comps with that Reaper, Sombra, Mauga, Lucio, Moira here. So in this instance of both teams running the mirror composition of Aqua, what do the Swarm have to try and do differently here to try and change the tempo of this match?
Generally, I would want to say farm your EMP very fast, harass the backline, farm your coalescence very fast, and pop it as soon as you get it. Because what generally you're going to want to do is stop the Mauga from sustaining, and one of the main ways to sustain a Mauga is with the Moira. You're going to see this initial Widow pick, but that's just kind of, you know, the King's Row shenanigans, but we will be immediately stopping faster.
Back over to the Reaper here for Aroma. Vengeance not having a great start, already getting hacked out here by GCG, who's looking on that side angle, and they're actually going to die to the hands of Vex. Kingpins being able to gatekeep this way to their own potential here. Now the Swarm forced to wait for their Mauga to come back to the fight.
Yep, as we see, you immediately just... Kingpins is just holding the corner. They don't really have to do much, and they already are 72 EMP, which is frankly ridiculous.
Swarm have the advantage in this EMP. It's all going to matter on these sort of picks. However, Aroma gets hacked out, forced to use that Wraith before they are dropped down to 0 HP, but they're still going to die to the hands of GCG. Exo, however, answers back. A 4-man EMP here from the side of the Swarm, but they aren't able to push in and get any of these kills. Vex is going to answer back with the Death Blossom, eliminates 2, and sends the Swarm back to spawn.
Honestly, I think that was a decent EMP. The main problem was just very nitpicky, but like where you're positioned to be able to harass the backline, or just get the burst off onto the Mauga. You are going to see GCG immediately go for an EMP.
5-man EMP from GCG, and everyone's down on the floor. The Swarm fall one by one, and Aroma can't even teleport to the spawn. They're killed out by the Sombra before they can even hit that teleport button.
Ouch. Yeah, very good EMP, very good follow-up by Kingpins as well overall. We are going to see the Swarm have this ultimate advantage, so they just need to just rip the coalescence. Just let it rip, kill something with it.
Here comes the coalescence from Disicus. It has to be the difference maker here. They're already pumping in so much damage, and Vex is caught out on an angle. Zachary not long for this world either. And now the Kingpins forced to fall back as it is finally some sort of hit here for the Swarm. They're looking for the ace, or in this case, it'll probably be a strike. It's going to be the strike indeed, as they're going to start taking this point for their own.
Yep, just really good coalescence here by Discus. I'm struggling with these names. I'm so sorry, but yeah, and especially now we're gonna see that both teams are probably going to be looking to use Cage and Beat at the same time, and then maybe a Death Blossom. So Ult Watch coming up, folks. We'll see what happens, but watch out for Ult Watch.
Aroma's played the game. Last match was set up by the 2 cage fights, so we'll see if they're able to pull that off again here. As the Swarm looking for this engage. The cage fight used early here by Vengeance, but it's all the way in the back of the point. They're forced to immediately get rid of it. Now Zachary K is going to advance with their own Death Blossom, but now the Blossom from Vex eliminates everyone on the field. 5K from Vex and a team wipe for the Kingpins.
Okay, I see how it is, Vex. I see it. Wow, that took 3 ultimates, though. We are going to see this one have EMP going into this next fight, which, ideally, Cool Puppy uses, if you're this one, Cool Puppy uses Coalescence and then you EMP. Nope. Immediately just going to go for the rip. And you know what? That works anyway.
It's gonna be hard to use the Coalescence when you're hit by the EMP from EXO, and they landed it onto 4 members, and now the cleanup is once again there for the side of the Swarm. GCG will get out of their life, but now the cart moves through the streets of Kings.
It does, and we are going to see more Coalescence coming up in this next fight. Honestly, very good ultimates coming up from both teams through this second point, with beautifully EMP by EXO and then a 5k Blossom by Vex. So just going into this next fight, we're going to see, watch out for your Coalescence.
You get that early hack here onto the Malga. Now that Coalescence comes out here from Cool Puppet. Desicus answers back with their own, and now the EMP from GCG lands onto 3. Golden is the first one cut out, and now all the Swarm are falling one by one with their Lucio out of the picture. Aroma does get the trade onto Vex, and it looks like the rest of the Swarm, DPS, and the Moira will get out with their lives. EXO, as I say that, dies, but still, there's an opportunity for a quick re-engage here for the side of the Swarm, at least unless Zachary Cage is going to be pushing into the spawn.
Nearly a very good stagger by the Swarm onto Cool Puppet, but wait, no, by Kingpins onto Descius, but just barely getting out with your life. We are going to see them getting very close to this Cage again before the Zachary is. So we'll have to see what they decide to do with their ultimates here for the Swarm.
Vengeance Cage fight, the first time was not really that helpful, so we'll see if they're able to get a better one this time as they start diving in and using that Cage fight. Death Blossom now responding in from both Reapers, but it's Aroma who gets the better dance of the two, finding 2 with their Death Blossom and sending the rest of the Kingpins packing.
Great combo by the Swarm. And going into this next fight with 3 ultimates, 3v3 ultimates. It could go either way, but it does look like Kingpins is probably going to want to give a point here. Maybe harass the Somber, harass a little bit.
GCG isn't able to touch the point in time. They're going to die to the hands of Desicus, and now Kingpins are forced to give up a lot of space with their Sombra out of the equation, and the Swarm are taking advantage of that. They're starting to push forward here as that card enters the Underworld.
Yeah, unfortunate for Kingpins that GCG was not able to touch, but they do have 3 ultimates going into this next fight, so how they decide to use this will be very important. We already see also a Somber 1v1.
EXO and GCG on the high ground, dueling it out here with the Sombers. They're both looking for the hack onto each other. Kind of difficult to do that when your pistols are firing at each other. Cage fight used here from Zachary, the B from Weezy, and the Coalescence from Cool Puppet. All 3 of those completely canceled out by the EMP from EXO, and now the pick all going in the favor of the Swarm once again, thanks to the help of that EMP.
Honestly, I think the Swarm might be able to get a full cap with about 1:30 going into this next fight. Hopefully, if you're a fan of the Kingpins, you do want them to touch here, but it might be a little bit unlikely. As I say that, Zachary comes out of nowhere with a steel chair.
However, Weezy's already dead. The EMP comes in from GCG. It does land on the multiple members, but Aroma has this Death Blossom, and they found 3 again! Aroma, the dance master in this matchup, showing Vex who's boss, and the Swarm cap Kings Row with time in the bank.
Somebody start playing the Beyblade soundtrack right now. Get it going right now. Beyblade after Beyblade, holy! Great performances right now by Vex and Aroma on the Reaper. Just finding kills I did not think were generally possible. So very good on them going into this next fight. The Swarm is able to full cap with a 1:20. So the possibility of going into overtime is not 0. We'll just have to see what happens here. Watch this, more Malga.
There is the reality that Kingpins are able to cap this map for their own here. It is a tough task, but they could still cap with more time in the bank. But the Swarm seem very uncontested through the streets of Kings Row and even in the Underworld, so there is the potential that the Kingpins won't be able to take Kings Row for their own, but they still have their attack round to determine if that is their fate here. But the Swarm looking revitalized after that first map, and now they're really showing up here in this matchup, so we'll see if they're able to keep up this momentum on their defense here as the Kingpins are looking to once again run out on this mirror composition.
Yeah, honestly, I think both teams have been showing very good, been doing very good on both. Both sides have been doing very good with the mirror matchup. GCG is going to look for a quick pick, and nothing. Alright.
They could have probably gotten that Sombra
Wait,
Exo.
wait, are they actually rolling up on it?
Okay, GCG is rolling out on the Widowmaker. They've stepped out of the spawn doors. It's not just a tease. It is indeed a difference in the competition. Now you have this long-range poke potential with those headshots. Swarm are immediately pressured by it as they're falling back all the way to the hotel, and Aroma is checking into the hotel of death, getting killed out by Zachary. Exo's not long for this world either, and the Widowmaker pressure is working so far for the side of Kingpins.
You have had to exist there. That is honestly quite impressive. The power of just existing as a Widowmaker forced the Swarm to have to completely rethink their strategy, and immediately Kingpins has 5 minutes and 40 seconds going into this fight, as well as staggering the Moira.
Well, no,
Very...
that was their Moira that got staggered.
Oh wait, my bad. I'm losing my mind a little bit.
Desicus was barely able to stay alive. Aroma was able to get the kill onto Cool Puppet here, so the Swarm now have an opportunity to try and close hold at these arches. Exo in a very much world of hurt. Vengeance is not any better right now, but Exo's going to be the first one to fall here. Desicus is still going to invest the coalescence for this, but here comes Zachary K with that charge in, and every single member of the Swarm fall like flies.
With another Beyblade as well. Mwah. Love it. Honestly, this has been a very strong, just going off of just initially, very strong push by Kingpins, going halfway already into second point with 4 minutes and 50 seconds is not something you always see going into these sorts of fights, as well as having Cage and Beat going in. Well, Vengen is only 64 with their own Cage.
So the Hashtag Vegas are already hacked out by GCG on the opposing high ground. Golden invests the beat here to initiate the engage as the Swarm start pushing into the enemy side. EMP comes out from Exo and it cancels out Zachary's Cage, not being able to use that Cage fight in this fight. And now with Vex out of the picture, it's once again the Kingpins having to retreat. The Swarm finally get a hold.
Nibri didn't even get to cast that. Wow. Yeah, really good EMP by Exo there that was able to clean up the fight very well for the Swarm. And they're going to have Cage going to this next fight with maybe GCG being able to find an EMP of their own. But it may or may not happen. We'll have to see as GCG is already in the back line.
For their own EMP here to try and counter out Exos from that last fight. Builds it up after pressuring out Desicus, but now the Cage fight comes in here from Vengeance, answered in with the Death Blossom from Aroma, finding 2 in this fight, and continuing to send the Kingpins packing.
GCG unfortunately wasn't there to stop the Cage from going off along with the Blossom, as they were scouted by by Exo to stop that from happening as they tried to harass Desicus. So very good job on the Swarm by countering the Sombra. EMP is still up. Both teams are going to have full listens. It's just going to again come down to these ultimates and playing the Swarm playing their own tempo.
Here comes the coalescence from Desicus and Cool Puppet, but the EMP from GCG is massive, and all of the Swarm once again falling like flies. That coalescence is going to do absolutely nothing for the side of the Swarm as the Kingpins take control of the card again.
That did cost them 3 ultimates, though. However, the Storm has nearly 2, but nothing on the board as of this moment. It does look like they will have to give up second point. I'm a liar, never mind. They are going to try and contest this.
Swarm want to try to contest this. Vengeance is on the point, but dropping extremely low, and they are bested out by Zachary, who's plowing into the enemy team extremely aggressively. And now all the picks once again blue in the kill feed. Another team wipe for the Kingpins as they continue their push into the underworld.
Right. It doesn't look like we are... again, it's just been Kingpins playing by the own tempo. And Vengen, unfortunately, did get blown up a little bit at the beginning of that fight, so it was unfortunate for the Swarm. It does look like GCG is going to be able to do something.
GCG hacks out Exo, knowing that the EMP is now online for the Swarm here. So the Swarm have to be careful about where they're going to be positioning, how they're going to be setting on this engage. But here's the EMP from Exo. It lands on the 4, and Vex and Zachary immediately in the grave. And once again, the Swarm continuing to clean up the picks one by one, as it's only GCG in the back line trying to pressure out the enemy team. But they're not going to be for long. They're going to have to make a swift exit to keep themselves alive. And they
No,
won't.
GCG doesn't get out. Unfortunate. Good stagger, though, for the Swarm. as that means Kingpins has to take a lot longer to set up, which is very detrimental when you have a Moira. The longer you have to set up with a Moira, the worse you're probably going to be off generally. So for this one, this is actually really good, as they do have a small ult disadvantage, but they will be able to counteract it.
We start pushing in here with this. Malga has the cage fight online as well, so they have to use the perfection. The Swarm just completely back out at the sight of that cardiac overdrive. Zachary does get hacked, but still is alive thanks in part to that rush. The Blossom from Aroma finds nothing. Vex now uses their own, gets rid of the opposing Reaper, and all the picks are falling in the favor of the Kingpins. Exo is there to try and contest the cart, but is not going to be there for long, as it's just going to be a cleanup here for the Kingpins once again. Aroma's trying to come back on the Tracer to try and contest this cart. They will be able to get the touch, but the cage fight is there from Zachary to keep everybody else from the Kingpins away from that cart at all costs. As now, right now, it's just the rest of the Swarm just trying to stall it out, but now the EMP from GCG cleaning up the field. Vengeance trying to keep themselves alive with that cardiac overdrive, but it's only going to do so much for so long, as they are able to whittle the time bank by around 40 seconds as it heads into the final point of King's Row. 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock for Kingpins.
Honestly, that was probably the best stall that you could hope for as a Swarm with that last fight. Had they won the fight the previous fight, it would have been a different story, but 145 to 120 time is not the worst thing in the world. It's not ideal, but generally it could be worse. So the Swarm has been showing very good, has shown a lot more cleanliness when it comes to their plays, especially by the DPS line and the support line, I would want to say, in particular. So just generally very good improvement from one map to the other by the Storm. So we'll just have to keep seeing if they're able to keep the Kingpins on their toes here.
So Kingpins having a pretty good advantage. 25 seconds to their 25 more seconds to their name here on their attack. So it's going to be the Swarms that attack, the Swarm that attacks first here on the, it's going to be the Swarm that gets their first overtime attempt here on the attack. So we'll have to see if they're able to get a better run here on their attack with 1 minute and 20 seconds. But it's going to be difficult, Aqua, because on their attack, it took them a long time to get to that point for the first time.
It did, but it also took Kingpins a lot less because the Widow was just kind of really confusing. I can't really blame her for being flustered by that.
Kingpins once again setting up on this close hold, but Vengeance is burnt out immediately. Zachary finding that crucial pick, and now the Kingpins have a perfect opportunity to continue holding this as the Swarm are just rushing back to spawn.
Yeah, unfortunate first fight. They are going to have a little bit more time. However, they have to make sure, Vengeance has to make sure that they don't die. Going into these fights, they cannot be bullied as much as they have been. Going into this next fight, we'll see how the Swarm is going to want to push past this one.
Get the hack onto Vex to start off. GCG answers back with a hack onto Golden, so the speed boost now out of the equation for that second. Now the cardiac overdrive is used by both Malgas here as the Swarm are still looking for a way into this. Vengeance is now hacked, trying to keep themselves alive, but now Desiccus has his coalescence online, starting to burn the members of the Kingpins, and the EMP from Exo is a Sateri on top as they start eliminating the members one by one. GCG gets the best of their somber adversary, and Vex is also able to eliminate Aroma, so it's not all easy here for the side of the Swarm as the Kingpins are coming back. Vengeance and Desiccus not long for this world, and now with 5 seconds on the clock, nobody from the side of the Swarm is in sight, and it's going to be a full hold here from the side of the Kingpins.
That is tragic. Great final Blossom by Vex out of nowhere to get a 1 to 2 picks to counteract the 1 pick that the Swarm had gotten previously. And then just really good cleanup by Kingpins overall. The best that the Swarm can hope for right now is a draw. And generally, I think it is possible for them to get it if they just stay calm, don't falter under the pressure of Kingpins, and don't get flustered by a sudden widow out of nowhere or something of the like.
So now it's a difficult task here for the side of the Swarm to try and full hold here on King's Row, something that they definitely could not do on their defense. They lost a point within the first fight, so it's going to be a challenge here for the side of the Swarm, but we'll see if the Kingpins are able to do exactly what they did last time. Based on the fact that GCG is hovering over this Widowmaker, Aqua, we might see that same approach happen again.
It might happen again. It might just be bait from Kingpins. I'm not entirely sure. It'd be interesting to go with the Widow Gambit again, though.
They're going for it. They're going for it. GCG's down at the top.
Yeah, they're definitely going for it. Oh,
they're on the main. Going up to the theater, looking for that crucial headshot. They miss it on the first flick here. But EXO knows that they're running this Widowmaker. They're immediately trying to go for that aggressive angle. Getting the first hack here onto Zachary K as Kingpins start dropping lower and lower in health. Now the Swarm holding by this statue here, trying to stop the Kingpins on this rotation. EXO's meanwhile just in the back line, peppering them here with this machine, eventually throwing in some viruses, trying to get some hacks off as well. But now they're low health. They have to retreat. The Swarm have to try and give up this positioning as the point is starting to get taken over here by the Kingpins. But Zachary steps a little bit too far out of their bounds, gets killed out by EXO, and now the Swarm starting their first hold here on the first point.
Great pressure by EXO during the mid-fight there. Swarm were doing a great job burning down the clock here, just playing around the point and around statue. No ultimates just yet, but EXO and Vex are the closest to their ultimates right now. It does look like the Swarm just gave up a lot of space, though.
Well, Benji died in that fight, so they had to be taxed back in the fight by Golden, and the Swarm are not willing to even touch onto the objective! You gotta hit the W key eventually, Swarm, or else Kingpins are gonna go to match point!
Does that count as a C9?
It probably would, because they just never touched the point. They were all there, all ready to touch the point, but no one did, and so we might have just had our
number.
We had our first Ajax of the season on map 1, and we now had our first Charlie Niner of the map of the season on map 2.
The ghost of Charles the Ninth haunts us all in our darkest hours. It's just kind of what happens. So, unfortunate by the Swarm there for that final point. They did show a lot. They did have a lot better of a performance on this King's Row than I want to say on Busan initially. So overall, great improvement by the Swarm overall during this first half of the series.
Yeah, I mean, the Swarm have shown essence of brilliance. Of course, Aroma's been very good with those Death Blossoms. They've been able to do really good on those sort of performance. We've seen good things out of a Swarm, but something needs to be fixed that's much more aggressive than these big plays here. So hopefully the Swarm can sort that out here with a 5-minute halftime. So we're going to be jumping over to a quick 5-minute halftime so both of these teams can reconcile. And when we come back, it is Flashpoint for... No, it's definitely not the first time in Tranquility, but it will be our Flashpoint map here for map number 3. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss the remainder of this series.
die.
The reigning champions of the Harmony tier are continuing to show their dominance, while the opposition has made some stings, but not enough to make a lasting impact in this series. It is 2-0 for the Kingpins as we're entering into map number 3. Bowsy with Aqua here, and we're heading over to Flashpoint here, Aqua, and we're going to Suravasa. So it'll be interesting to see if the Swarm can fix up what their problems are in this matchup thus far. We've seen those glimmers of hope, but it hasn't been enough to light the dark room.
It has been, and also fingers crossed we see some Junker Queen on this map. Generally, Junker Queen's very good on the Flashpoint maps overall, as she just does really good on them. Decent mobility, decent sustain, is able to just do whatever you want on those JQ comps on Flashpoints. So hopefully we see that, but we're probably just going to see Mauga. But yeah, I think the Swarm has shown a lot of improvement over this series. And they might be able to pull off a win here. It might be, but it's definitely not going to be a clean sweep of a 3-0 by Kingpins, I think. I think the Swarm has at least the potential to take 2 maps.
Yeah, definitely. The Swarm went from winning one single fight on the entirety of Busan to bringing it all the way to King's Row, and if it weren't for a very, very bad Charles IX appearance on that map, they would have been able to at least have an opportunity to hold Kingpins back. So there is hope on the side of the Swarm, but they need to really get some things sorted. We've seen those star plays, but it seems like that there's something on a much grander scale that they need to fix, whether that's a coordination problem, whether it's an issue of not knowing how to use your cooldowns effectively. Something needs to be fixed here for map number 3. As we head over to Suravasa, Kingpins need one more map to get the clean 3-0 sweep, but the Swarm have an opportunity to win their first map and potentially initiate a reverse sweep here if they can get their bearings together. But we'll have to see what the situation is going to call for here, Aqua.
Right. I think what the Swarm needs to do most is to put themselves in a position where they can define the tempo of the map. So far, we've seen that most of the fights that both sides have won is when it's on the terms of their own win conditions. Zachary, get off of Roadhog right now. We know you're trolling, hopefully.
I mean,
yeah, it's overall just been a tempo thing. It's always just a tempo with these types of bum rush comps.
What's a better hero to counter the tank with the most HP in the game than the tank with the second most HP in the game in the Roadhog? I'm kidding. Here comes the Mauga. Mirror compositions once again here, Aqua, from these two teams. So we'll see which Mauga duo is going to get the better of the other.
Yeah, I honestly, Roadhog gets bullied by Mauga every day. So yeah, just wow.
Two teams beating up here in the center, just firing every single bullet into the opposition. But Vengen not able to keep themselves alive in the aftermath. Vex burns them down and is now rushing toward the rest of the team with those Hellfire shotguns, eliminating everything in sight.
Most riveting Mauga gameplay. Yeah, very strong start by Kingpins, already 80 to Blossom and 71 to Coalescence here. And taking point initially. Very strong start for Kingpins going into this next fight, as we are going to see the Swarm look to set up. Maybe with their Sombra looking to round them out.
CG already harassing the backline, distracting Exo here on the Sombra, forcing out that virus as well here. So the Swarm trying to find their fair footing again. Cool Puppet's going to initiate here with the Coalescence, and now Zachary's going to get rid of Exo in the aftermath. GCG, however, is traded, so no Sombra is no longer on the field. Golden's going to use the beats to keep the team recuperated, and now the Blossom from Vex doesn't find anything, but Golden's already taken out of the engage. But actually, no, that was the Blossom from Aroma, excuse me. Vex now uses their Death Blossom. It doesn't find anything either, and the Swarm are finding these picks one by one, and now with that Coalescence from Desiccus are pushing into the objective.
Good ult trades by the Swarm overall, I want to say. They are, but it was 2 for 3. However, they were able to get point control and are going to have EMP and Cage, but Kingpins does the same things along with beats. So Exo has to play very carefully to negate both Cage and Beat going into this next fight, as Kingpins is probably going to look to take the initiative.
Kingpins looking for the advantage, looking to try and take that initiative, as you mentioned here, looking on the outside, and here comes that EMP from GCG to initiate the fight, lands on the 5, and that's the go button for Kingpins, and they steamroll over the Swarm in a second.
Strong EMP by GCG. I think it had everybody in that, as well as strong follow-up by Kingpins, as always when it comes to their EMPs. They're going to get this first point, and it looks like we're going to be going somewhere. I don't remember the names of the flashpoints, but we're going to Palace. Okay.
Yeah. Going over to the Palace.
Kingpins is probably going to look to set up on this high ground and then bully the Swarm as they go around. Or, you know, the exact opposite of what I was saying is going to happen.
Exo's going to be using the EMP to initiate here for the side of the Swarm. It does catch on the 3, but the beat is there from Wheezy to keep everybody alive. Then now going to be using that cage fight alongside Zachary, or that was Zachary actually using the cage fight, excuse me. And now they're just burning everybody at the seams. 2 for Zachary, 3 for Zachary. The Ace is not there as the DPS steal away the other 2, but still the Kingpins coming out on top again.
Wait, what happened to Vengeance?
They didn't use it.
Page.
Simple as that. They didn't use it.
Yeah, but where was it before? I think... Did we miss a cage getting popped? It might have been gotten with the EMP from previously. Okay. It does look like the Swarm is going to have 3 ultimates in the bank going into this next fight, so depending on how they use this, they could easily take the point from Kingpins. It just depends on how they decide to use it here.
Cool Puppet is going to initiate here with the Coalescence, pushing the Kingpins forward. Vex is hacked out by Exo, but it doesn't matter since Golden and Desiccus already in the grave, and the Kingpins once again establish the dominance and now force the Swarm into last fight territory here on the Palace.
Yeah, it does look like we are going to get close to last fight territory, specifically on Palace. And the Swarm does, again, still have now 4-ish ults, almost 5. They just need to take the initiative here. They need to force Kingpins onto the back foot and force them to be on top. They are going to also take this mini high ground.
Again, looking for this high ground, going to be charging in onto the objective, but there's nobody there to support them, and the beat from Golden isn't there, and the EMP cancels out the Coalescence from Desiccus as well. It's gone all wrong for the Swarm. The EMP from Exo is even invested as well. It lands on the 4, but it doesn't matter. The Kingpins cap the point and are now at flashpoint, match point.
That is rough if you're the Swarm right there. Ouch. They are only going to have... They used 4 ultimates and they got nothing with that. And they're only going to have Cage while Kingpins is going to have Beat and Blossom and nearly a Cage and Coalescence of their own. It's going to be an uphill battle if the Swarm wants to somehow reverse this match here.
Swarm are currently having their high beaten to a crisp, and they need to try to find something in order to keep it structured. Kingpins pushing forward immediately. Vex looking for this initial pick here on this Reaper with the rest of their team. Here comes the Coalescence from Cool Puppet once again with the engage, and the Blossom from Vex is once again massive. 4 back in the grave, courtesy of the Kingpins Reaper again.
One hand gives,
Wow.
the other takes
It's Vex the clock, people. Wow, just 4 casually with a Coalescence as well. strong showing by Kingpins is, again, with a complete and total control of the initiative and the point.
So looking for this early pick onto that Reaper of Vex. Gets hacked out by GCG, but is able to stay alive here. And now the Kingpins forced to back up a little bit, knowing that the Reaper trying on that flank angle is not getting that value. Exo now still getting pressured out here by GCG as the Swarms try to make the initiation push here on the objective. But that timer's still ticking, 62% so far here for the side of Kingpins. The Swarm have to touch this point eventually and start making progress, so they're only going to have one fight to do it. Here comes the cage fight from Zengen. Lands on the multiple members. Aroma pops the Death Blossom and is able to get rid of Vex. And now all the kills finally going red in the kill feed for the side of the Swarm as they'll be taking this point over in their control.
It did take 3 ultimates for the Swarm to get that point, though. And it does look like Exo is going to be looking to cancel out Zachary's cage using EMP here. So, capturing this flashpoint is possible for the Swarm. We just have to see if they're able to time their ultimates correctly. And it does look like GCG is going to have a EMP as well going into the next fight in mid-time.
Swarm pushing in. The EMP is there from Exo to try and stop the members of Kingpin from getting into the objective, but it's a 5-man EMP from GCG. The response is there with Cool Puppet using the Coalescence, burning down the Sombra, and looking for the Lucio of Golden. They've now found 2. With this Coalescence, the Kingpin continue to push the aggression. Make that 3 for Cool Puppet on this Moira. They will sacrifice their life to the hands of Aroma, but it's only that Reaper left in the fray as the Kingpins will take this point back and thrust the Swarm into last fight territory.
Great coalescence there by Cool Puppet to just force create pressure on Desiccus and Exo. It does look like Golden is able to touch, but it's not going to be enough here.
Golden's dead. Exo is there to touch. Vengen is back. They get rid of Vex, and the cage fight is used by Zachary, keeping them confined to the entrance of the arch. Vengen looking for anything. They're burnt down by their adversary as now the Swarm are falling one by one. And at the end of the day, the Hornets are going to have to look for another nest as the Kingpins have taken real estate in their home territory.
Great showing if you're the Kingpins there. Strong 3-0. Unfortunate if you are the Storm, but there is a lot to be taken out of here. Going into your future matches, I don't think the Swarm is down and out for them. I think they can definitely be a contender. Still, they just need to clean a few things up, and they'll be in a lot better position. So, definitely not the worst performance you could ever have.
Yeah, for your opening
especially
match.
Especially given how far they pushed Kingpins on that second point going into an overtime situation. So honestly, I think this is a good match overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen many worse first maps for teams in Tranquility Gaming. The Swarm did not have that. They did have their moments on King's Row. Suravasa and Busan, maybe you try to warm up on those a lot more. But overall, I think the Swarm did a very good job showing what they're capable of here. And if they're able to fix some of the crucial problems that they seem to have there with their coordination, with their engages, I think they have the potential to win some games under their belt. It is obviously going to be a challenge going up against the former champions here in Tranquility, but the Swarm did a pretty solid job of taking it to the former champs and showing that they are here to play in this tournament. But at the end of the day, it's still the Kingpins coming out on top with that legendary, with this roster that's looking to try and grab a second championship in a row for this team, which, let me remind you, Aqua, that has never happened in the history of the Harmony tier. There has never been a team that has gotten 2 championships in a row. So Kingpins are looking to try and be the first.
I think Kingpins could possibly do it. However, as you said, nobody has done it before, and so generally the odds are going to be very low, but never 0. The odds are never 0. So it's good. We are going to have to be watching Kingpins very closely going into these future matches to see if they're able to keep a strong and consistent performance continuously. So, yeah, I think that's everything that we have for tonight.
Yep, that seems to be everything here. Again, Kingpins taking that 3-0 victory against the Swarm, and meanwhile, our other match on the B stream was also a 3-0. So that's going to do it for the first day of Tranquility Gaming Season 12. The 12th season is here, and we're already off to such a lightning fast start. It's going to be an amazing 16 weeks to watch for the rest of the season. But that's going to do it for us here today. For my wonderful co-caster Aqua and our producer THC, alongside our observer Cry, helping bring this match to you and bringing you the amazing experience of watching these two teams duke it out. My name has been Bowsy, and till we meet again, we hope you have an amazing night.
Thank you.